Welcome. You have tuned into The Ties That Bind, our family meeting. My name is Paula, and I am your griot, which is simply meant storyteller or historian in ancient Africa. I'm joined with my co-host James, the bridge, and other co-host Tiffany, our strategizer.
Good afternoon. This is Paula, and you have reached the Ties That Bind. And I am your storyteller and your historian. My co-host here, James and Tiffany. So I'm going to turn it over to them so that they can introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm James. I'm known as the Bridge, and I'm here to pretty much bridge the gap between the old and new, the things that we have missed that maybe the older people might know and the younger people need to know. I want to kind of be in the in between state to get people on the right track so we can finally become one and move forward.
Yes.
And I am Tiffany, and I am known as the strategist. And my goal is to help kind of open your mind a little bit, help bring some different things to the table, and to help give you some actual steps and building blocks that you can use to implement those changes in your life today.
Yes. And so today we're going to be talking about our black girls missing. And where I wanted to start was, and I have a special place in my heart that it's just like spiritually as you grow, certain things come into your life, and God opens up your heart and your mind for you to see the things that you weren't able to see before. And I've been thinking about my grandmother, my people in my life, and what I wanted to do was to give reverence to give the glory. I'm saying that. I'm sorry, my dog just did something. To give God the glory for anything we did, for Yahweh, whatever you want to call him, Yahweh, the one who was, who is, and is to come. He is the author and the finisher of our lives, and we wanted to bring that to the forefront. And I wanted to turn it over to James before we go into the topic, because it's a wide and vast, and then I will go into our current events, and then we'll go from there. James?
All right, thank you. Yeah. So I was talking to my aunt Paula, who's on the phone now, and I was letting her know that she should, because she was remembering her ancestors, and I let her know that you should have a glass of water and light a candle and place it in front of that glass of water. And when it comes down to it, I don't care if you do what I do. As far as me being a priest in Palo Mayombe and studying to make Ocha within the Ifa system. But us as a people, we are spiritual all the way down to the core. All right. So with that, it brings us in a place where we have to learn how to get back into our spiritual selves. And part of being spiritual is remembering the people who were here before you, right, and give reverence to them, so that their name cannot be lost at the end of the day. Okay, because nobody wants to die and be forgotten when it's all said and done. We want to make sure we keep their name warm, keep their name close to us, and let them know that we still love them and still are here for them if they need anything, even when it comes to being on the other side after death on this planet, because it doesn't end right there.
And I would like to interject in that so that people won't think it's something. If you really read your word, and from the beginning to the end, no one was ever forgotten. It was just as your ancestors did, just as Paul did, just as Elijah did, just as blah blah blah. It always says that, and we're not really seeing. We're looking at it and we're listening to what somebody else has to say. And when James told me about it, And we're not trying to be spooky. We're just trying to acknowledge what has taken place in our lives. And I don't want to take out from what he's trying to do, because he opened up another door with me, because I never spoke about it with people, because I didn't want people to be spooky. But even in the Old Testament, they're always lighting candles, and they're always putting the oil down, and they're always putting the blood on something, and they're doing all this. And and Jesus didn't come to do away with that. And I know that's the only way that people can explain it. He said he came to fulfill it. And that's something totally different. So I want you all to open up your minds and open up your hearts and open up your spirit, so that God can do what he wants to do in you. And you don't have to do it the way we do it. It's just because we've been doing it for so long. We've been talking about it and studying it and getting it wrong, getting bits and pieces here and going somewhere. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let James do it, because he had me on fire the other day. So I'm going to let him finish doing what he's got to do, and then we'll go from there. And then we're not leaving Tiffany out. It was just after I got off the phone with him, I was just telling him, I got to go. I can't talk to you anymore. I got to go and just start doing what was already in my heart to do. And so it's not that we're leaving her out. It was just that at that point, you couldn't go any further. So, okay, James, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Yeah. And this is just to reconnect with the people that you loved that are no longer here, that you feel like you cannot connect with. But this is a way that you can still connect with them. Because there's certain things that they love, and their energy still exists through you. All right, so that's what I'm saying. You can remember them, and like for me, and I have my whole, you can call it the altar, whatever, set up right with water and a candle. I have coffee and I have rum set on my altar as well, and it is a place where you can go and just speak to your ancestors. You know, like, hey, Grandma, how you doing? You know, I miss you. I love you. You know, this is Mother Yeh. And I'll just go through it how I do it. I miss you. I love you. I miss the words that you used to speak to me. I miss the things that you said to me, how I was always Grandma's little baby, you know, and how everybody calls you Mother Yeh. You know, these are things that I will never forget. I'll never forget the little slippers that I used to give you. It's still dear to my heart. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to give that and still feel your warmth within me. Grandpa Green, I miss the times when we used to work on the cars. And I thank you for giving me that ability to do that. The times that you showed me your tie collection, the times that you took me out to shoot the BB guns, the times that you gave me watches and stuff and that made noises and all types of things like that. And I'll never forget the words that you gave me. As far as say what you mean and mean what you say, I still hold that dear to my heart. And although I don't always follow those rules, I still remember the time that you gave that to me, so I could bring that forth and pass that down from generation to generation. So also my nephew Mason, I thank you for the time that I shared with you. I miss you so much. The things you have showed me really took me to another place in life. Because I know that life is precious, but I also know that you know you're not here in this existence. I know that you are still here with me and teaching me different things, and hopefully I can give you what you need, and I will give you what you need on the other side, so you can become better in spirit outside of being here in the physical. And so I thank you for that, and I know that you showed me how to fight. You showed me how to stick to it. You know, when times are down, you just got here, and you were still fighting the whole time. So I thank you for that, and I will never forget you, and I will always speak your name. Okay. So Paula, do you have anybody?
Yes, I would like to thank my grandmother. We call her Mama. You did so much for me from the time I was a little baby. I remember when I was just an arm baby and with you, and I thank God for you. You taught me who and what God was and what realness was. I thank you. I thank you for my mother for being there for us, and my dad. You didn't have to do it, but you did. I thank you for everything you did for me. You took care of us, and beyond, up and beyond whatever we could ever think or receive. I thank God for this. I thank God for you, and I thank God for my Aunt Dee and for my Aunt Helen, for everything that you all did, for all the times, all the things that you placed in my heart, all the words that you gave me, all the things that you gave to me, and I thank you. I thank you for all of the ancestors, my uncle, oh my God, Uncle Johnny, Uncle Charles, Uncle, I know Tiffany had something with that. I know you all had a bond, and I thank you for that. I thank you for everything that you did, every story that you told, every joke that you told, every picture that you drew. I thank God for you. I thank you, and I bless you. And I'm going to turn it over to Tiffany. Tiffany, do you have anything you want to say?
I don't. Thank you, though, for asking me.
Okay. So I'm going to give glory to God for just the experience that I had. I sit and I think about as we grew up, and I see things clearer now. It's just like hindsight is 20/20. I see things clearer that I didn't see because you were, let's just call it what it is, you were dumb. You were dumb. You didn't know the difference, and they were taking care of us, and they were always there, and they were always trying to make us be better people, and whatever they were, it was. And I thank God for it, because God says, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you, and He knew us. He put us in this place. He put us in the place that we were supposed to be, and I thank Him for that. And so I don't want to go any further with that, because I can tell eons and eons about stories of our childhood. It's almost as though, I think I remember telling Tiffany this. We were talking. I said it's like we lived several lifetimes in this, and we haven't even lived all of this lifetime, just because of all of our people that we grew up around. And so I say this because I'm seeing a lot of things out, and I'm seeing babies, walking the street and no parents to be found. And I'm going to give you was some of the current events today. I know here in Alabama, we had she was 27 years old. She had a fight, and she was. Hey, I'm sorry. We're having some bad weather here. I don't know whether you all know that I cut out. Are you guys there?
Mm-hmm. We're just waiting.
Yeah. So we have, and she was 27 years. I think she was 26, and the other girl that she was fighting with was 27, and she ended up shooting her. She killed the baby. And they came and they arrested the girl who had the gun. And then later, the girl who got shot in the stomach, they had taken her to the hospital. And this is the weirdest. I want you all to give some thoughts on this. This is why I'm telling you this, because we're not going to go into it now. But they're trying to convict her for murder, because she shouldn't have gotten into the fight with the girl, and they're saying that she was the reason for the girl shooting her in the stomach and killing the baby. So now they're trying to give her life in prison. And there's another. Have you all heard about that?
Yes, the charges got dropped against her. I personally agree, but I agree. Pregnancy, life is precious, and people take it for granted. People take for granted children and even fertility. I mean, speaking as a woman who dealt with infertility for 15 years, people take that for granted. And you can't let petty squabbles take you out of your role as mother.
Right.
And when you forget that baby is dependent on you, and you put that baby's life in jeopardy. Now, do I think they both are guilty? Yeah, I think that there was not an accident that she was shot in her stomach. I
Yes.
think that was intentional, especially considering they were fighting over the father of that child.
Yes,
so probably it was intentional, and I think they probably now. I'm also a police officer, so like you have to be careful as a law enforcement officer. You can't just slap somebody with a murder charge because you have to be able to articulate it. You know, it has to get through the court system, and it has to go through lawyers, and it has to go through juries and judges and all those things. So you have to be careful how you charge someone, because not every charge is applicable to every crime, and there isn't a law that applies to every crime. So sometimes you have to extrapolate laws to cover a specific crime if it's a special or a unique circumstance.
Right.
Like shoplifting is pretty common, and there's a generic shoplifting charge that will apply for most shoplifting cases. But in this instance, it's a little bit different than the manslaughter, just straight out. And that's kind of getting a little deep into the weeds, since you said we're not going to really cover that. That's my professional opinion and my personal opinion.
But I wanted to talk about it, but I want to put the question out there to how people are feeling about that, and to email us at the end at the base of the conversation. We'll give our email addresses so that we can that you all can email us. But I agree, and it's threefold to me. It's like it's as though this is a political thing, and they're doing this to get a little bit further into. But you can't. You're not God. You can't. What's the word? That you can't put them in heaven or hell. First and foremost, and then second, they are what they are because of the system that you put out there. And then the mothers are not there, the fathers are not there, and this was something that was done on purpose. And so I don't know, it's the money that you're going to spend to put her in prison. You could have taught her so that you could have put that money into the system or into their mother. As I'm going to say about the kids that they're taking out of the homes, they could have done something to assist you. And I can say that because I am, I must say I'm handicapped, but I have a condition now. And the government pays the state to help me, but I have never asked for anything. But when I did, they have made it very, very difficult for you to do anything. Now, I'm not going to talk more on that because it's a legal issue that I'm bringing up now. But you can't. I've seen a lot of things, and I can put a lot of things to this, but how can you not charge they let the girl who did the shooting go? She's just as guilty as the one who they say started the fight while she was pregnant. She was dead wrong, but they were both wrong. So how do you divide this? How do you do this? I don't get it. And then we have that, and then we have James, I'm sorry. Did you want to say something about it?
No, I'm just listening right now. Go through the whole. So I wasn't too familiar with the story.
No, it wasn't something that it was just. I try to watch news all the time because I want to know what's going on, and I see things, and it boggles my mind how we're not taking care of our kids as a people, and we know better. You can look at the thing that I was thinking about last night, and we have my little niece is, what is she? She's my niece, yeah. And then James is, but we have little Leia, and, she is constantly paying attention to everything that you do. And you can't, and a lot of times kids feel your spirit. They're looking in your eyes, and the Bible tells you your eyes are the windows to your soul. And they're looking at you, and it's not so much of what you say. It's not so much of it's the spirit, the vehement of where you put it out there. And this thing, it reverberates through life, and they're constantly going, and it keeps, and they will never get over this that you've done to them. And so we have to be very, very careful about our children and how we are bringing them up. Yes, you can't. Now, God knew I don't have any kids, and God knew who to give kids to, because they're crying, I can't deal with it. It hurts my heart. We'll be sitting there having a conversation for forever and a day, but we are lost with this. And I want to talk about that and go from that to how do we get lost? And that was my next question when I started. Tiffany, I'm sorry, were you getting ready to say something?
Nope.
Oh, I wanted to think about how we got here, and I thought about my mother's generation. They started out giving them opioids a long, long time ago. They didn't know what it was doing to your children. They didn't know, and a lot of this is the stuff that they were giving your mother that went into your bloodstream, and a lot of people and everybody can't handle that stuff. And so I remember my mom, I didn't know she was, they were giving her a lot of pain pills and a lot of stuff like that. I didn't know she was doing that. I found out later as I came down here to start taking care of her. But it goes from that to this, and now they want to tell you how to raise your children, and they want to tell you you can't have an abortion, but who's going to take care of them? Even when you do that, who's going to take care of these kids? And now I'm looking at CPS is going into these homes, and I'm going to talk about the black families, because what they're saying is the African Americans are 3 times more likely than Caucasians to have their children put in foster care, instead of doing what they can to help them in their home. And the children is the one that's being traumatized. I'm sorry. You know I'm a talker. What did you say, James?
No, I was agreeing with you.
Yeah. And so instead of helping them in the home, and they are, and I say this because then I'm watching, I go from one thing to another. I'm seeing these kids being abused in these foster care and in these homes that they're being left in, when they could have just helped the mother to take care of the children while they're in the home, and they're with her, because they're being traumatized. And we're seeing the evidence of this now. If you look at Iyanla's show, where she had this woman, she got hooked on crack, and we know where the crack came from. You know how it got disseminated in the black community. We don't want to go there. But she had 7 kids, and she was hooked on crack. Her husband was hooked on crack. They ended up coming and taking all 7 of the kids from her, putting them in foster care, separating them. None of them stayed together. 7 kids. I guess you couldn't. I don't know. They could have just helped them up. But then they got molested. They were beaten. All these things happened to them, and they will never be the same. They're almost like, what do they call those soldiers who go off to war? What do they call them when they come back? The PTSD, or what is it called? Yeah, and they are in shock. You know, they will. You can talk to them till the cows come home. One of them is little mentally retarded, but I'm looking at that, and they're not the only. There's just one that they put in the spotlight now. But this is, I remember having someone that was dating someone in our family, and he had come from Chicago, and he was saying all the things that happened to him while he was there. And this could be avoided if we, as we say, it takes a village to raise a child. And if we just reached out and saw that they're having problems and get out of our own way and go in there and help them, regardless of whether they want to receive that help or not, you go in there and say, you need some help. Let me help you. and you can do it. You can do it in a certain way so you can't be used. You're not gonna, because you're there to see to help the kids. Look, get the parents, we get all that. Will you say something, Tip?
I was about to. I'm waiting for a break.
Go ahead. I can stop.
Well, I want to bring a little balance to the conversation. So in my research, I went to childwelfare.com, and they did a 10-year study on children that are in the foster care system. And the results are actually kind of surprising because you know, even though it is true that black parents are 3 times as likely to have their children removed from the home, over the past 10 years, the rate of children removed from black families has gone down significantly over the past 10 years. Just going to read some of these stats to you. So the years that they're balancing or that they are comparing are 2007 and 2017, and then this study was, of course, written in 2018. So the percentage of children, black or white children, that are removed from the home, oh my goodness, there was 40% of the children that were removed from the home in 2017. I'm sorry, in 2007 were white children. In that same year, 31% of those children were black. And if you compare to today or more recently, the number of white children that have gone into foster care has actually risen by 4%, as opposed to the number of black children in foster care, which has decreased by almost 10%. So even though it is true that black children are more likely to be taken away if there's an issue that arises, there are far less cases of that happening in sort of an intervention than there was. So there are things that are happening to kind of move things in the right direction. Now, is it a 100% solution? No, it's not. But I think in fairness, we have to acknowledge the fact that it is not all bad. Like there has been improvement.
Yeah, but I couldn't go further. Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, so my question with that is, I mean, if there's more of a happening in like the white families, right? You know what I'm saying? Why is it such a shown as a bigger thing when it comes to the black community?
Because even though the percentage of cases are fewer, the incidence of separations are higher. Because black families are not given the same opportunities to dig themselves out of whatever situation causes them to need to intervene in the first place.
Right. Well, right. And that's what I wanted you to say right there. That was the whole thing.
So there is a disparity. I'm not trying to whitewash or sugarcoat the disparity. That there is.
Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah, there are injustices, but on a whole, the numbers have been showing a decreasing trend as opposed to white and Hispanic families showing an increasing trend in children being removed from the home.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, I think that because my study only went to as far as the study came out in 2016, but it came from a census from 2014. They're always 2 years behind. So I guess I missed that. But there still is, because even in 2018, they went and they interviewed the social workers and the judges and the CPS workers and stuff, and they had less faith. They really thought that black people, the black adults, did not have what it took to raise their own kids. And they what they would do, and as far as going to the Caucasian home and giving them the tools that they needed to keep the children in the home, what they did with the African Americans was just to remove the children. And this is in the. I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to bring further balance to the scales, because this is not just a black and white issue. We have to consider other cultures and races that are involved as well, to include Hispanic and Native
minorities. Yeah.
So to include Hispanic, Native American, I think it's more correct to say people of color, not just black people and white people, because you're ignoring an entire section, cross section of the United States when you do that.
Yeah, but they did separated from the Caucasians to the black. They did have. There's a study. It's called the census of the. I'll put it on the website. But they did separate the difference between the Caucasians and the African Americans with their children being removed from their homes. So with the Native Americans, I hate to call them Indians, but Native Americans, that because they're not allowed to go into their community in the way that they're allowed to come into ours. You have to be one of their own to be on their what do they call it, their land. So it's a little bit, the disparity is a little bit different than that. Now with the Hispanics, yes, that they fall directly underneath the African Americans as far as the percentages is wise. And so my thing is, we're bringing all this up is because if we don't do anything about it to prevent it from happening, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. So that's my thing is, oh, go ahead. Were you going to say something, too?
Me? No.
No, I mean,
I thought you had said something.
I mean, I would say that even though things might seem to get worse, as far as the community is concerned, especially our community, we seem to take on different trends as far as things that normally go bad. And I speak for the Black community or the community of color, but more so the Black community. Whenever we have a negative title that is placed on us, we seem to overcome it very quickly. Very, very quickly compared to maybe some of these other. I mean, no, I don't think a lot of people have gone through what we've gone through, because I think we judge ourselves more than anybody else because of our situation that we're in. But we seem to get over situations a lot quicker than a lot of other people. It's just we just get constantly hit with new obstacles from year to year. Right.
And we have, like we had, I'm going to put another current event in there. In Florida, like we are having the felon thing. They passed a law to allow felons to, if they've done their time, they can go and they can vote. But now I'm going to put her name on there, but the governor there is making concessions, making laws that even after you've paid your dues and all this stuff, after you've gotten out of prison, they're taxing you even more before you can go and vote. With the civil rights group is trying to say that it's against the law, that it's illegal, but they're having to fight with that. And we had another gentleman, and I guess I don't know what the real issue was, but this is in Florida. The police officer pulled him over because his tint was too dark on his car. Then he got there, and then you saw him. He was sitting up on the step to get into the car. You know, the SUVs, they're tall. He was standing on there, and he says, "Oh, I smell marijuana. Marijuana is so. Come on, get out of here. You want to get bally with somebody over some marijuana these days?" But they didn't show to the end that the boy, when the man took off, because he was afraid, because the police officer literally went for his gun. And if we see what the police officers do, they can be in your face and shoot you, and then say, "I thought he had a gun. I thought this, that, and the other. I smelled marijuana. I thought this was happening." So he took off down the road. I think they said he took him about 200 yards, whatever it was, pulling the officer over, and he's cussing and telling him, "You need to get out the car. You need to do this, that, and the other." Well, you shouldn't have been up on his grill like that. You get his tag, you go out there and run it, and you do what you got to do. But be in his face like that, he would have taken off with you if you weren't on his car. And so these are disparities that if there was a Caucasian man, that would have never happened. We just have to be real with that. And so I'm saying this to bring in the fact that these people are, I am very vocal, and I know I try to learn as much as I possibly can, no matter where I am or what I do, and you're not going to get over on me. And they take me to the trenches for the things that you are getting paid to help me to do. For just because she thinks she is, what did they call Obama when he first got in our office, and he was being, they didn't call him arrogant, they called him something else, what they used to call black people a long time ago. That's the same thing. And these kids that we need to, that's what I'm saying, that in the whole run of the whole thing, we have to give credence to the older people. And I know it sounds like we're straying, but I'm trying to make a point to you that this is what happens, and this is being black. You're going to always you're put up against a different light, and black kids too. They're not saying, oh, now if you look a certain way, or your eyes are green or blue, or you're light, or you're this, that, and other. If you look a certain way, they may come and they may do something for you, and they may be a good person. They, out of the kindness of their heart, they will help you. But nowadays, it's like it's almost few and far between. So we're talking about.
I think that's 100%. Okay, so you're not wrong, but getting back to the subject of children being taken away from the home, I think the reason why there has been a decrease in the percentage overall is because there are more programs. There's more focus being given to people who are at risk and disparaged than there were in the past. Now, is it, like I said, trying to keep things balanced and even? Is it a 100% solution? No, it's not a 100% solution. But I think the reason why there's been a downtrend is because there are more resources that are available and people are able to get to those resources. Now, do we have a long way to go? Yes, we have a long way to go. There's education issues that we have to take under control. There's drug issues that we have to take under control. But I do think that we have to give ourselves credit for the progress that we have made, because we have made progress. Now, it's true that black people are demonized when it comes to the media. They only show you the negative things, so it skews your judgment when you think about the things that we're experiencing, because all you see is the negative. But if you take the time to peel back the layers of that onion, you'll see that actually if you look at us compared to other races, by percentage, we're doing far better when it comes to taking care of our children and keeping our children at home with their parents or with their family members than the other races are doing in the United States right now.
Right.
And I think I always harp on this, but I mean, core values is very important when it comes to our community, and we're still trying to find those core values. But once we get the family values back in check, I think a lot of this stuff will disappear, because we haven't had a chance to really regain a strong family with all the stuff that's been going on. Even though we've been trying to get it, but there's just so much distractions going on that's out there in this world. And I think that's one of the main reasons, these kids are not, are being taken out the home, because once we set up those strong values, all the stuff with the kids being taken out the home, all the stuff, with the I guess the way the kids are being treated and the way the kids are acting out here in these streets, all that will start to go away. It'll start to dissipate because we have strong moral values within the family that will not go away. Right.
And I think it also kind of goes back to one of the discussions that we've had in the past about families and the way the family structure is built up. The days of mother and father being sufficient are over, because it's hard for two adults to make a living wage and take care of children. So it's important that family members get involved. There was once a time where an auntie or an uncle would step in and help take care of kids, help get them where they got to go. Even
Right.
Exactly.
and those things are starting to get farther and fewer between. And I think that as families, especially families of color, we need each other because that's where our strength comes in. That unity, that sense of community within our community. So I think that we really need to focus on bringing that back. And it's like I've been living in this house I've been here 8-9 months now. I don't even know who my neighbor. I know who one neighbor is because I happen to work with him. So I didn't even know him. It took me 3 months to realize that I worked with him and that he's my neighbor. So that's one of those things that as the black and brown community, we need to rebuild those connections between each other. We should be able to know who lives across the street from me, and like we talked about with children being missing, they should be able to know. If I'm in this neighborhood, I can go to this house, and this house if I ever need help.
Exactly.
So those things are important. Those things are very important. Those are things that are missing within our community. And when we don't have that, that's part of the structure that parents need to be strong in their parenting. And when that's missing, that's when things start to get off balance and go awry, and they don't have any return when they need help. When they need help, there's no one there to help catch them.
Right.
That's true. So, people that are in my generation, in James' generation, and your generation, we really need to step up and help these younger parents to give them that security net that they need so that they're not so dependent. It's all about extracting yourself from dependence on the system.
That's true.
I think it's a...
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. But, yeah, I think it's an issue with our generation because, like I said, especially with a lot of kids that are born in the 80s, late 70s. A lot of us grew up with single parent households coming up, and I think, like I said, we're trying to get it together now, but it was just that little space and time right there for our generations that really messed us up a lot. So a lot of people don't know what the family is, and they think that it's just mama that's supposed to be in the household that makes up the family, and mama's going to take care of everything. She got to be the mama and the daddy, and they kind of understand that, when that's not the way it's supposed to be, So, because and this is no jab at anybody, but women will never equal up to men, and men will never equal up to women, because we are total opposites when it's all said and done. We do compliment. We do compliment each other, and there's just different energies that we have in the household, and that we need to recognize. And I think it's good for a child to see both of those energies kind of working together. And even when they have a dispute, it's just a part where the kid will see that, and then they see how the parents will come back together, after that dispute. Yeah, some type of resolution.
I wanted to clarify with something that you said. Well, let me bring my point of view. I don't want to clarify because then it implies that I think that you're wrong, and I don't. I just want to say that the strength of a man and the strength of a woman are different, and they're equal in the fact that they both are equally necessary to the family unit, but they're not the same. So a man's strength and a woman's strength are equally important. And we have to get away from this concept that women have to be able to do everything that a man can do, because at the end of the day, a woman can't do everything that a man can do, and vice versa. Like, men can't do everything that a woman can do. Exactly. But that doesn't diminish your value within the home.
Oh, sure.
Right. That's right. Because everybody has a role. Go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry.
No. I was disagreeing with what you all were saying, because you have. Women are stronger in certain areas than men are. Men are stronger in certain areas than women are. And people, I want to go out there and then you wonder why your uterus is not acting right, or you're wondering why this, that, and the other, because you want to go out there and do what a dude does, and it doesn't work like that. And so that is, certain things that I refuse to do. And I remember my mom with who she was meant that she was going to do it her way, at a certain extent. But we have to we have to see. Yeah, like they would argue and they would say whatever and they would do, and we would get scared and think that, because we saw other people's parents leaving, whatever, but it never happened. And I think we have to realize what being a cohesive unit is for making that what do they call it? When you have made a promise, you keep that. That is yours. You've got to do whatever it is you have to do. And as a man, you got to do whatever. I remember my dad was, when he got hurt, and he laid around the house for forever and a day. And at a certain point, and I felt bad for him because I was just like, my mom's being mean to him. But she had to do that to get him out of that funk that he was in. You see what I'm saying? That yin and that yang, it has to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you all. Say that again.
I was just going to say, I don't want to offend or take away from those people who are in a single-parent situation or even a co-parenting situation, because there are some great single parents, there are some great single moms, great single dads, there are some great co-parenting couples out there. So that doesn't take away the fact, the spiritual law that children benefit the most when they have an active male parent and both active parents in their lives. They benefit from that. Yeah. And when they don't have that, no matter how great a single mom or single dad you are, when they don't have that, there is a lack there. Yes. And you may not see it now, but when that young man or young woman goes out into the world and they don't know how to relate in a relationship, that's when it's going to show. And they may not come back and tell you, I never figured out how to date until I was 35 or whatever. They may not come back and tell you that, but that doesn't mean that the lack was not there. So we need to honor the vows of a marriage, take them seriously, right? And work together to get through problems. Divorce is, for whatever reason, divorce has been the easy solution to conflict within a marriage. When really, it's a very costly process. Short of an abuse situation or a neglect situation, divorce costs you way more than you'll gain from it. I think it's important that couples be willing to fight for what they have.
Yeah.
And also understand that there's times within a relationship, and we're way off topic, but there's times within a relationship where one person is going to be giving more than the other person, because you're never at the same place at the same time as another person.
Exactly.
There's times where my contribution may be higher than my husband's, or vice versa. Or it may be our contributions are equal, but in different ways. But at the end of the day, we work to make it work, even when things are not peaceful or happy or whatever.
Yeah, that balance, and that's the balance, that you have to maintain in the household. So there's always going to be ups and downs. Like it's never going to be a perfect moment for anybody when you're dealing with that, especially when it comes to relationships, but it's that balance that especially kids see that they can kind of understand who has a role, because everybody plays a role in the household.
Right.
Right, and that is the most important thing, that people have their roles that they play. And, you stick to that role, and you stay in your lane when it comes to that. You don't try to you don't breach that boundary, basically.
Right.
Right. I agree. And when you do, you gotta kind of recognize it and pull yourself back. And even have to be humbled by it, and apologize,
Right.
So, because this is what the kids need to see. They need to see the humility of the whole thing. They need to see the pride of what the family is, and what the family unit can actually bring within itself.
Right. And you've got to communicate. And you don't have to always just talk to the kids. They will hear you all talking to one another, and they know what their role is. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly. It's important for them to see healthy relationships.
Exactly. And you have to, not even just healthy, just to know where, as a child, where you start and where you begin. I remember when I had my niece and nephews staying with me in Dallas, and my thing was, okay, how do I explain this to them for them to understand, so I won't have to continue to say the same thing over and over and over to them again. But I had to get to know them. And I remember telling them, I said, You know what your job is? Your job is, you have a job. Your job is to do what I ask you to do. I said, and every time you do this, I'm going to give you a check with mark on this, and I'm going to tell you this, that, and the other. And that was the way I had to do it with them. I had to show them the differences, what the consequences were if you don't do what I asked you to do. And I had to show them why I did what I had to do in order to keep them safe. And so we have to be able to communicate to our children and let them know, still, I'm the parent, but I'm trying to let you know where you began and where you end and where I began, because I am your parent. You know?
Yeah, and especially with the spiritual system that I practice, that's one of the main core things. This is all about showing you what a family unit is about. And that's why when you get into the system, you start off with a mother and a father that's supposed to watch over you, through your process of growing and learning. If anything happens to you within that process, especially within the first year or so, and sometimes a couple of years, depending on what you're doing, that's going to affect them negatively because they didn't do what they're supposed to do to make sure that you made it through the process correctly. And that's what they harp on, and then they show you, like, okay, this is how a mother and a father are supposed to get along in the house. For one. On top of that, while we're showing you this is what a mother does when she's teaching. This is what a father does when he's teaching. You know what I'm saying? And you get to see the two energies. Kind of mix and mingle. You know when they're going through some things. As far as when they're not in sync with each other. You see them kind of build around that and just get through it. So and that's what the system teaches you. That's one of the main principles, is learning the family unit.
Exactly.
And so how this, I was going to say, how this relates back to children in the welfare system. When people understand the value of their role, your mother, father, child, grandparent, right? Those are the three. Those are the components that make up a family, and none of them can be replaced. Like, you can't take away any of them, and the system continues.
Right.
Everybody is equally important, and everyone's equally important in raising the children. The parents are equally important in taking care of the elderly and in guiding the children. And the grandparents are responsible and equally valuable to guide the parents, and help take care of the children. And all those things go together. And if we can understand that and realize that it's like puzzle pieces. You can't have a puzzle piece. You can't have the picture without all the pieces, right? Everybody has to play their part. And if somebody needs a little assistance, we got to be, as family, be willing to fill in that gap, to meet that need, so that these children can stay in their home, can stay with their family, stay with the people who know their names.
Exactly. And you could be, it could be an uncle, it could be a brother, it could be, it could be a male. You need to have a solid male figure in your life so you can know this. I mean, even with you and Jane, you were there with Mother and Daddy, but see, I was there when they were in love with each other, and I used to hate it. I was like, I don't want to see that. They're in there patting each other on the back and giving each other kisses, and I'm just like, okay, we're not trying to hear that. We were little kids. Yeah. But as you get older, you know that. But they didn't always agree with what they had to do, but you all wouldn't have known that. They had their roles. I remember when I would give parties, and they allowed me to do this. And I had a job, even though my dad didn't want me to have a job. I had a job, and I could go and I could pay for X, Y, and Z. But there are things that I totally missed. I remember we had the party in the backyard, and I thought everybody was going to be going home because I didn't have any alcohol, because my mom didn't believe in that. We were just playing cards, playing what do they call those, horseshoes. We were playing ball. We were doing everything in the backyard. And all of a sudden, it's dark. It's getting dark. And I'm just like, oh, my God, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to tell them they got to leave. So I'm sitting there thinking, trying to figure out how I'm going to do it. And the moment I started thinking about it, I didn't even think about my dad what he was, because it was my thing, boom, let there be light. All the lights came on. And I'm just like, what? What did he just, I don't know when he did it, how he did it, the lights came on. And they were, and they stayed there till like 11, 12 at night. And see, these are things that you see that you don't allow yourself to get into a relationship where you don't have that communication. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You realize that you're gonna fight. You're not gonna always agree on things, but we're going to make it work for the sake of making it work. We're gonna make it. We're gonna do what we need to do, and that's a family. Even though when you all were there, it was still the same thing. Dad was always there. You all saw a different side of him then, because Daddy was for sure. Now, if he wasn't trying to play, you go to school to get your lesson, and that's it. Don't you come, I want them to call me and say you were doing X, Y, Z. You go there and you do X, do da, 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 da. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
And I took things very literally. And so I took that seriously. And it's just every person has their due. And I remember being with my grandmother, she never allowed anybody who came in the house, it didn't diminish the affection or the love that she had for you. You didn't feel no way. You didn't feel any. You just got in there. You got in where you got in, and you sat there and you laughed and you talked and you did what you had to do, and that's what she did. That's what grandparents are there for. You know what I'm saying? And so everybody doesn't have that, but there's a way that you can build those relationships so that your children can see what a family is. And something happens to you, that somebody can bridge the gap for you. So I agree with you all, what you're saying on that. And it's just, and with these kids that are out there, and I'm one that I'm talking to kids, and I try not to have them at my house and do it because you don't ever know what they'll think if something happens to the kids, and they'll say it was you. But if they need something, I'm giving it to them. I let their mother know, their whoever's at the house know that he needed X, Y, Z, and I'm going to get this. I'm giving it to you so you can give it to him. That kind of stuff. And so that's a community helping to raise a child. And so that's what we're really trying to see here. And that's what we did. We had everything we needed within our family right there when we were growing up. But now we're not like that anymore. That no one is. It's just that we're so scattered that we're not there anymore. Yeah. Does that make any sense? Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. And a lot of that is the hierarchy in a family as well.
Yes.
Especially the elderly, not elderly, but the I guess the most elder in the family.
Yes.
And they would normally be the ones who would run the shots because they've been here the longest, and they know the direction that the family should go, and they kind of know all the pieces of the puzzle. That'd be normally the old. Normally it'd be the older grandmothers, who would be in that position of power because they're running shots. The money will go here to them. And from that point, they'll divide the money up and send it out where it needs to go. And that's what we need to get back to, the hierarchy of it, and knowing what. Like I said, everybody has a role. And from the old to the young, everybody has a role what they need to do in a family, and we need to get back to that because family is business at the end of the day, and you kind of need to treat it like business. Like it needs to go in that direction. Where okay, what are we going to do next within the family?
Family economics is a real thing.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. That is true. I agree with that, and we have to. We've noticed that we've gotten into this game where we don't trust one another again anymore. You can say, oh, we're friends, but friends are things that you go through, the ups and the downs, that you can stand there with them they're going to be there for you no matter what happens. And you'll have to go through that. But we don't have that anymore because we don't know. Just because I get angry with you doesn't mean that it's over. My dad had to teach me that. My dad would just, because he was just like, you just can't divorce people. And I'm just like, well, yeah, that feels better to me to divorce you because you hurt my feelings. You know what I'm saying? And but he had to teach me that there are things that you have to do to make things better. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just have to keep your mouth. Sometimes you have to, sometimes you have to get to the point where I'm feeling like I'm about to lose my mind. My top is about to blow. You can say what you have to say, but you say it in a manner. That was the whole point of our family meeting. And so I'm thinking, what I'm saying is, no matter where you are, what community you are right now, like Tiffany said, you get to know your neighbors, you get to know your kids, you get to know their parents, get to know their kids, get to know their parents, and when something happens, they know that you're there. I remember when my parents weren't there, they would tell us, don't you leave this house, and I'm going to call this house when I know you're supposed to be here at 3:30. At 3:30, it better not ring more than twice. You better be in this house. Mm-hmm. And I remember I had did something, and the knife had gone through my finger. And I knew that Miss Moncrief was next door, and she was a nurse. That was the first thing I did was to run over there because she and my mom were friends, and she knew that I was there. I ran over there. She went and got some alcohol. She went and she pulled it out. She wrapped it up, and she asked if everything was okay. She gave me something to eat. And when my mom got there, she let my mom know what had happened. And so this is what we have to do in order to bring this community, what do they call it? It takes a village to bring that village together. Because everybody's not going to think the same way. Everybody's not going to do the same thing.
I was going to say people have to be willing to play their role. People have to be willing to be the grandparent, to be the aunt. To be the uncle. They have to be willing to do that. People have gotten so selfish that they only want to do what they want to do, and it's the children that suffer, and that's part of the reason when people fall in hard times, they don't have any choice but to have their children surrendered away or taken away from them because they don't have an auntie or a grandmother or a grandfather or uncle who's willing to play their role.
Right. That's true. That's true. And that's why you have to, if they're not there, then you need to start building relationships with whomever's close to you that you know that over time that you know that you can depend on them. Sometimes you may have to. They would come over and bring a snack. And I know it's time for us about to go, but they would bring a snack over to your house. Or sometimes my mom would say, go over there and ask Miss Mayo or Miss Moncrief to see if we can get a cup of sugar. I'm just like, are you serious? A cup of sugar, Mama? Get over there. And we would have to go there and do it, but it was keeping that thing amongst us. Sometimes we didn't have a cup of sugar, and they didn't have no problem. I don't have a granule sugar. I got some brown sugar. Said, get that to your mom and tell her da-da-da-da. And we did that, and they did that for a reason so that we would know each other. And I don't know whether you all got to know the Moncriefs, but they were very, very sweet people. And so we have to, this is what we're talking about, because we don't want our kids to be in the system, and then they're in the point where they have PTSD because of all the things that have happened to them. And even from going through whatever it was that you went through, and there was nobody to fill the gap that they knew that could help you. So I'm going to stop talking, and this is the reason that we were talking about this, and I didn't get through all the stats that we were going to talk to today. I just wanted to get and let you know what the current events and where we were coming from with this, and I'm going to turn it over to James and Tiffany so that they can say their salutations. But we have enjoyed you. We hope you have enjoyed us. We love you. Pass it forward, as that's the word that they're using. I think the Bible calls it something else. Just be a good steward over what you have been given, that has been placed in your life. And you do that by being as honest and as open as you possibly can. And I'm going to turn it over to, I don't know who's going to do the end. Oh, it'll come back to me. So I'm turning it over to James, and James can turn it over to Tip.
Okay. I would like to say, I was trying to go over a few things, but yeah, I would like to say that yeah, the family unit is one of the most important things that need to be reestablished within the people of color in their community. More so the people that have been here, because a lot of other people might have come from other communities. They might reside here now, but you see that their community is still kind of holds strong.
Right.
But us I say people of color that have been here for years and years, we don't have that same stability or those same values coming here.
Right.
So it's very important to gain those values and to learn and to cultivate that and kind of bring in our own culture outside of the culture that they try to portray us as to be, and us kind of falling into that trap. We need to define who we are and who we want to be in this life, and then we can kind of build from there. So that's all I say. Always do one thing, and that's find out who you are. And find out, and from that, find out where you need to go. All right.
Yes.
And we'll just keep moving from there. But go ahead, Tiffany.
All right. Well, first I want to say thank you all for joining us. I hope that we were able to open your mind to some things and bring some new ideas into your mind. One thing I want to leave you with is when a family of color, black, brown, yellow, whatever, loses a child to the system, they are not the only ones that lose that child. The community loses that child. The community loses the future of that child. The community uses the contribution that child would have brought to that community. It's the community's responsibility to help catch these children before they slip through the cracks. Yeah. And it could be just as simple as spending an hour of your time, go coach a team, show up to, go chaperone a school trip, go get to know your neighbor's kids and introduce them to your kids so they can have somebody, so they can know that somebody's there. It's very important. Right. It's not just the parents that lose. We all lose when we let those children slip through the cracks.
I agree.
Right.
So our shameless plug, I just want to make sure that you guys know that you can find us at tiesthatbind.com, or you can find us on Facebook, /TiesThatBind. And you can also find us and listen to us on Podbean. If you want to send us an email, you can go to Ties That Bind. You'll find our pictures there. Just click on our pictures. It'll automatically open up the email. You can share your thoughts with us. Probably the best way to reach us in this day and age is Facebook. Just go on. There's going to be a Facebook post for each episode. You can just go right on that Facebook post and give your thoughts, give your opinions. You can message us directly that way as well. And we look forward to hearing from you.
Yes, I agree. And I enjoyed it, and I'm not going to say anything else. I say find out who you are, bring that spirit out in you, and it will resonate and bring whatever God has for you to come into your life. And I'm going to say I do, I love you, and I hope you have a blessed evening, morning, afternoon, whenever it is that you're listening to this, and I will see you soon. Have a blessed day.